All right, let's talk about what's necessary in your materials and procedures part of your lab. Your materials should be a clear list of everything you are going to use during the experiment. So list out if you're going to use a beaker, a stopwatch, a meter stick, a mass set, anything and everything that you're going to use. Even more important than that list, though, is going to be you need to include a labeled picture or sketch of the setup. So actually draw it out, or even better, you have a smartphone more than likely, just take a quick picture, and then on that picture, label everything that is there. Your labeled picture almost becomes part of the procedure itself because you're not going to state to whoever's going to come back and try to redo your lab, hey, please set up everything, all the materials like this. Instead, if you include a picture that is well labeled or a sketch that is well labeled, then whoever is coming back after you that's going to try to redo your lab can just simply look at the picture to get the exact same setup that you used. Your procedures are a step-by-step plan of exactly what you are going to do. Note, it's a plan of what you are going to do, meaning that you wrote them out before you actually started your lab. You can't just go and do stuff in a lab and then come back and rewrite up your procedures to make it look like you had a plan. No. You have to plan it out ahead of time. This is part of your design. Make sure in your procedures, whenever you're going through the steps, that you state the quantities of your independent variable. Notice in my example over here, I said align the bottom of the tennis ball with the 0.50 meter mark. And then as we go, I say, all right, now we're going to change it to 0.75. And then down here at the bottom, I give the other ones. We're going to do 1.25, and 1.50. You just don't tell whoever or whenever you're making a plan for yourself, you just don't say, I'm going to start low, then I'm going to go higher, then I'm going to go higher, then I'm going to go higher. Actually state what the independent variables are going to be set at. Also, make sure you tell how you are going to measure things. Come up with the plan of how you're going to measure it ahead of time. Align the bottom of the tennis ball with the 0.50 meter mark. I already knew that there was going to be an issue here. Do I line up the bottom, the middle, the top of the tennis ball? And so I went ahead and chose. I chose the bottom because I know that the bottom is what's going to hit the floor first, so I made sure to choose the bottom. Also, I came up with a plan for timing it. Drop the tennis ball, timing its fall to the ground. Now, this is best done with two people, with the timer person counting down to the drop, 3, 2, 1, drop, and of course the dropper dropping it. Use the repeat steps idea to go ahead and shorten down. There's no reason to be overly wordy in a procedure. You want to get all of the right ideas down. You don't want to leave anything to guess where someone who comes behind you to read your procedures has to try to figure out what you're going to do. But there is no reason to be overly wordy. Repeat steps 1 and 2 for a total of 5 repetitions. Right? And so then we're going to go through and get not just doing this part once, but do it 4 more times so that we've redone the 0.5 meter mark a total of 5 times. And then coming on down, align the bottom of the tennis ball with a 0.75 meter mark. All right, repeat steps 2 and 3. That's dropping and then redoing, right? So repeat steps 2 and 3 for the 0.75. And then, here we come again. Go to the 1, redo all of this, right? Go to the 1.25, redo. Go to the 1.5 and redo. There's no reason to be overly wordy. Check with your teacher if they're willing to have you summarize the last chunk like I did in number 6 there, all into one bullet point to one step before you go ahead and do that. They might want you to break that out to where each of these gets their own step with a repeat idea in there. Finally, don't include unnecessary parts. This goes back to don't be overly wordy. Notice that there is no get out materials. They understand, whoever is coming after you, or you if you're doing the lab, understand that you have to get out the materials. That's why there's a materials list. Set up the materials as shown in the diagram. That's not listed here either. That's unnecessary. Why are we even putting that in? Lastly, and I didn't point this out explicitly earlier, and I want to make sure to make a big point of this, make sure that you change your independent variable 5 times. You can't just do 1 height, 2 height, 3 heights. You actually have to change it 5 different times. So notice I did 0.5, 0.75, 1, 1.25, and 1.50, and state what you're changing your independent variables to. Also, make sure that you redo each of those trials for a total of 5 repetitions. Redo them to where you have done each one of those marks. 0.5, I need to do 5 times. The 0.75, I need to do 5 times. The 1, the 1.25, the 1.50, each of those has to be done 5 times. All of this allows for a lot of averaging to try to reduce error, which we'll talk about later. All right, all this sets up to where we can start really talking about materials and procedures in class. Another good suggestion, whenever you have written out your materials and procedures, especially the procedures, before you start your lab, why don't you hand your procedures off to another student or to your teacher, to someone else random, have them look over the materials, have them read the procedures, and then comment back to you. Do they think they know exactly what you're talking about in that lab? If they say, oh yeah, no, I could go do this based upon your procedures before you've even gone and done it, they read it and they comment back, yeah, I think I can understand this, or this part isn't clear, I'm not sure what to do with this idea here. If they think that everything's great and clear and they could do it, your procedures are probably pretty good. If they're telling you that something's unclear or they're not sure, then you might have left something out that you just are assuming other people would know to do, but they might not know what to do.